The I'll give you, this is the first page. Yeah, that's the first page, and I should give the second page also. I don't know if we'll get to it. Let's keep it the first page and then it's shy. Okay, so what I want to do first is that I kind of would like to give a introduction before we get to this Torah. But before the introduction, I want to connect last week to where we're going now. Last week we were sitting together, we were talking about Hanukkah. It was the highest light, Ekye Pa'amim Ekye, 21 times 21 is Gematria Ames, like the purpose is, the realization of that, the goal is the preparation that we have to do for Hashem. We have to keep on working ourselves to grow higher. Ekye Pa'amim Ekye, and that is the Ames, like your whole life you should anticipate to just prepare to be, you know what I mean? It's such an amazing ladder of preparation. It's unbelievable. And that's really our goal, is to keep growing, right? So what happened was that over here in Torah Reish Pei Beis, when was this said over? Okay, so this was first introduced, like the first beam of this Torah was introduced before Rabbeinu was on his way to Lemberg. Okay, so on his way to Lemberg. And Lemberg or Lvov, I'm sorry, I might have mixed up the names. He's on his way to travel, which we know that he was traveling, that eventually over there he was for medication, for medicine purposes, which is a very mysterious trip in itself. But on the way, they were on the wagon, so Rebbe Nachman and Rebbe Tali knew that this was like a huge trip, and they both ran up to Rabbeinu. They stopped the wagon, they were like, they stopped the Rebbe, and the Rebbe turned to him. There was such a chen, such a light was coming. And the Rebbe said, I can either give you a bracha or Torah. So then Rebbe Nachman was like, there was a moment like, what do you want? So Rebbe Nachman was like, the Torah, Mirz Hashem, you'll give us when you come back from Lemberg, right? The bracha you'll give us when you come back from Lemberg. But right now, just give us Torah.
Wow.
Okay, so let's just stop right there, right? Let's just think about that, right? I was like, I give you a bracha, or I can give you Torah, right? I'll tell you, and I know this myself in my life, I'm always like, it'd be nice to have blessings, the derech of mankind is to think about brachas, right? To take care of himself and to make sure that he's good, that he's okay, that he's good. Torah means I want to keep going. Not that I'm not concerned about myself, that I want to keep searching. I'm not necessarily interested in menucha and I want to keep ekya pamim ekya. I want to keep going. Bracha you can give us later. I'm not in it for brachas. I'm in it for Torah. I want to grow. I want Hashem. Remember there was a story we said about the Baal Shem Tov. Remember just to recap. I'm not going to say the story. It's a long story. We could make it a whole hour. But basically the story was about somebody that came. Baal Shem Tov said that the king he was feeling very good, and he made this amazing contest, and he said whoever can make it through all these obstacles will mamish be mamish like me in the kingdom, linked to me, in power. And so everyone wanted to do it. There was all these giburim, and every obstacle they passed, before the next obstacle there was treasure. And the treasure started small, it started getting bigger, right? Remember? So then what happened was that you heard this story before?
No.
No? Okay, so every obstacle, really these obstacles, they were optical illusions. They weren't real. There was something there, but it wasn't the rest, all of a sudden the guy sees a moat under him with alligators. It wasn't really a moat with alligators. It was optical illusions. The king was a master of optical illusions. So as it started getting more difficult, people would fall out. They would just take the prize and be like, okay, I'm going to take the jewels and go. So then, as it got harder, the prizes got bigger, and the people started falling down until it came to finally the prince and the gibor, the warrior and the prince, and meaning the son of the king himself, because he was very cunning and quick. And then the next obstacle was just pashut impossible. It wasn't shayach.
So it's two people, the Gibor?
Yeah, two people, one giant and one small prince, and they were both like they were looking at impossibility. Remember? So then what happened is that the Gibor just he's like, forget this, this is crazy, and he takes his treasure and he bounces, and then all of a sudden the prince is like, he just looks and his mom seems impossible, but then he just starts yearning for his father, the king, and he closes his eyes and he starts screaming Abba at the bottom of his lungs, and he screams so intensely, and the king was so mali rachamim that he just all of a sudden mamish took all the optical illusions away, and the prince noticed that he's standing in front of the throne. He made it to the center of the palace that he had to get to. So he's standing there really the whole time. Right? It's an amazing story from the Heilig of Baal Shem Tov.
Where's
so,
that? Sipurei Balvesh?
The essential Rebbe Nachman has it
I
also.
could let you know, maybe Ketzer Shem Tov.
The essential also. That's the essential Rebbe Nachman, the small book. Also.
Oh yeah? Oh, very nice.
About the Baal Shem Tov.
About this story.
About the story.
Yeah.
So the Sipur Shachabenu, it's a little bit.
It's a shtickle different.
Dome.
Oh yeah.
No, with Rabbeinu it's like a mahalach is totally different.
Why? No, because the father tells him like all the walls all these obstacles that you're gonna come across are all illusory. Like don't even think about it. And like the last second, he's like, as you said, like it's all you went with the knowledge that it's all illusory. It's just there's nothing there, and you went ahead and did it.
Wow.
But
great story. Like the son already had a.
Rabbi Nachman, he has also a different type of mashal about something else. But
yeah. The point, the nakuda that I wanted to say was that like this aspect of like growing and keep on going versus taking the prize, versus settling, being like, listen, it's not shayach. It's like keeping on ekya, right? But in order to keep growing in life, all of us, in order to keep growing, the Torah root is fantastic. Keep growing, it's great, that's Torah root. It's amazing. It's growth. It's like we're flying. But we need an ingredient. We need to be mechazik ourselves tremendously. In order to go through that, you need a lot of chizuk, net. And in order to get chizuk, just writing some Rosh Prakim, a person needs this aspect of positivity. We have to be able to find nekudas tovas in our life. There's a Torah that Rabbeinu was Megala right there, in that, like he started Megala in that wagon, the Torah of Azamra, of Reish Pei Bet. Okay? Now this trip, by the way, to Lemberg was mamish, like if you look at Parparot L'Chachma, it's a sefer that it describes, he gives his opinion on that, like, he says ultimately we can't understand the deepest essence of why the Rebbe was traveling. It was a whole travel that he dealt with a lot of doctors and even apikoresim, and it was a lot of like, it was going into that world of like secularism, secular knowledge, and being like treated under it. It was bekavana. He held that it was really bekavana because he saw that in the future is going to come a flood of apikoresim in the world, and going in there and to being able to bring something into Am Yisrael, that we can be able to stand up against this flood of like secularism that's now in the world, right? So, and the Rebbe started with this Torah of Azamra. So the Parparas the Chachma holds that it's really, if we want to be able to hold strong versus all these secularism means all these tactics of the Yetzer Hara that's trying to ensnare us these days, we need most vital Torah is Azamra. That's how we could be mechazik ourselves and to be strong against this force.
What exactly is Azamra?
Azamra is Torah, Torah Reish Pei Bet Makuta Moran. It's known as, they call it Azamra because the Rebbe brings a pasuk over there from David HaMelech in Tehillim that says Azamra lelokai be'odi.
Right.
Which means that I will sing. As the word Azamra means I shall sing. I will sing to Hashem, to my God, be'odi. Right?
That's be'odi.
So be'odi, Rabbi Nachman says that means like with the od, with the more, with the that I find within myself. What is that more that I find within myself? Literally, what does that mean? With my more. What does that mean? he says that means with the good, with the little bit of more good that you find within yourself, the positivity that you find within yourself. The nekudot Torah. How this is such a vital. Now this Torah, you should know that in Breslov, Rabbeinu said, with all my Torahs, it's really like, if we maybe did another night, we could do just like workshop style. You know what I mean? Like chavrusas, like learning Likutei Moharan. That's the way it's supposed to be done. Like chavrusas, you break it apart, look up sukkim. You got to roll up your sleeves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like Gemara, straight up, like Likutei Moharan kolel. You know what I'm saying? And like Shir, whatever. You know, we discuss it. We get into like arguments, whatever. But like in a good way. That's the way it's supposed to be done. Okay, a few times, and then in your own private time, you're saying Likutei Tefillas on that Torah. You're like living it. You're like bathing in that Torah. You're like mamish bathing, right? It's your life. You're like everything you see, you start to see that Torah. Like it comes up everywhere. It's amazing. Right? That's called walking with my Torahs. That's what Rebbe Nachman said. I want you to walk with my Torahs. Okay, that's one thing. Yeah, there's Bekiyas and stuff also, but that so. He says, in general, when I said that you should walk with my Torahs, what I mean is that, yeah, you should walk with the Torah that you're currently doing, but there's another Torah that I always want you to have in your pocket. Always. With every Torah, there's another Torah it's in the pocket also. Which one? This one. Torah Reish Pei Bet, in the Likutei Moharan, the Torah of Azamra. It's a very fundamental thing. I was thinking, there's a lot of cool things to talk about in the Likutei Moharan. We have to like sort of stop and get into. We have to like check into this Torah because the Rebbe was so makbid about this Torah. It's funny, like the Rebbe was makbid about positivity, like the things that the Rebbe was makbid about. Gevura, about you got to sing on Shabbos. You ever realize that? Isn't that amazing? Like you learn a big yesod from that, which is like in Shema Yisrael. And I was just thinking, just a quick little snippet of a chiddush, like Shema Yisrael, Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokeinu, Yud Kei Vav Kei Echad. There's Yud Kei Vav Kei is Chesed, then Gvura, Elokeinu, then Chesed, which teaches us that Chesed and Gvura are there together. You have Chesed and you have Gvura, right? But the Gvura is there only for the purpose of the next thing. What's the next thing? It's Yud Kei Vav Kei again. Why don't we just say Shema Yisrael, Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokeinu, Echad? Why have to throw another Yud Kei Vav Kei in there? It's to teach us that the only reason why the Gvura is there is to be Mechazek, the Chesed. So we want strength. We all want strength in our lives. How to be like positive nicks. Like when we're faced with like mud, that we can manage to be like, wow, look at this gem. We need that skill. And Reish Beis teaches you that skill. One more disclaimer. There's one disclaimer about this Torah before we get started. Rebbe Nachman says that this Torah Azamra, it's going to sound a little funny. It's like the Mei Chatat. The Mei Chatat means the water of the Para Aduma. Okay? One of the things about the water of the Para Aduma was that it's Metaher Tameim. It makes pure people that are Tameh. But it's Metame Tahorim. Person that's Torah, that's carrying it, someone that carries the bucket of whatever it is, the Mei Chatas, he becomes Tameh. So he has to become purified also. So he says that this teaching of Rebbe Nachman, of Azamra, is like the purifying waters of the Paraduma. That it can make someone that's Tameh, can make him Tahor, but someone that's Tahor can make him Tameh. What do I mean by that? Here we go. Okay, what do I mean?
You're going to become
Klipat
Tameh?
Azamra, no?
What?
You're going to become Tameh by throwing Tahor on us?
No.
Sorry, Klipas Azamra. Klipas Azamra.
No, because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because I'm so much more tummy than anyone else. So that's why, So that's the part. Rabbi Nachman said, right, that praised about Rebbe Nachman. It's going to sound like crazy. He said, you should know. And Rabbi Yonatan mentioned this at the table one time. He said, what did Rebbe Nachman praise Rebbe Nachman? He said, you know what he is? You know why he's so Gavaldi? He is, you know how Gavaldi he is? I'll tell you, let me describe. He is mamish like a chalak shtik blotter, which means he's a nice, smooth piece of mud. What? I was having a conversation with someone the other night, and he was telling me he did something that was bad. It was wrong. He shouldn't have done such a thing. he called me and he was like, my mamish, like, I can't believe what I did. My mamish can't believe, like, how could I do such a thing? The guy was pushing, he sounded like he was mourning. Like, mamish, he was like sitting shiva over how the fact that he did such a thing. He became a little hostile with somebody, he said something he shouldn't have, It was wrong, don't get me wrong. But he was pushing, he was like sitting shiva. And he told me he couldn't learn, he couldn't daven, he was beside himself. I was like, why? He's like, I usually have been Adam Lechavero in check, like I'm mamish, but I don't know why I don't know how this happened. And he's on the phone, he's like, so what do you think, Rebbe Nachman? So I mamish told him, I said, I said, if you don't mind, since we're close, I just want to tell you something. I don't want you to get upset at me, but I think you should drop that whole philosophy. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? You're calling me and you're saying that, I'm supposed to, I'm like this, I'm like over here, I'm supposed to be so, I'm like the Rosh Yeshiva, I'm like a Gevaldig Rosh Yeshiva, with my midas in check, right? How could I say such a thing to that other guy? How could I become hostile? Me, right? I was like, I'm going to just tell you, I hate to break it to you, my friend, but we're mamish behemoths. We're mamish. I don't know. Maybe you. I'm like nothing. If you want to join the club, I'm mamish nothing. Like we're mamish. We're like behemoths, pashut. It's not. We're not holding there. We're holding here. We're not Rosh Yeshiva. We're like gangsters. We're mamish gangsters. Okay. Why'd you push that guy? Because you're a behemoth. What do you mean? It's a chidush to you. You're lucky you didn't kill that guy. Yeah, but maybe that's a nakud. I didn't kill that guy. Wow, that's great. You should do a rikud. The perspective you have yourself, you make yourself to be such a gaon, Rosh Yeshiva, midas tovas, ish kadosh, ish tar. He actually said that. Like Rebbe Nachman says, we're also supposed to see ourselves ish kadosh, ish tar, ish kadosh, ish tahor. What are you talking about, Jack? And he said, but Azamra. And I was like, oh, now I remember what Rebbe Nachman said, that Azamra is like the mechatas. It's metaher tameim. If you think that you're tameh, if you think you're mamish nothing, that you're a piece of mud and you don't deserve anything, it's metaher you. It could bring you to such high levels because you're thankful, you find such good nekudas tovas. But if you think that you're tahor, I have my ben adam lechavero in check. I'm such a gevaldig guy. How can I do? Then it's metame you. Then you see black dots everywhere. Oh, I can't believe I pushed this guy. I can't believe I said what I said.
It's nice, man.
It's mamish. Such an important nekuda.
That's your chiddush, Rabbi Yonatan?
I know. It's all whatever. It's all intertwined.
Listen.
Power of imagination.
Yeah.
If you're a
You think you're
chidush,
on such a high level.
Dimyonis.
It's mamash,
It's
exactly.
mamish
We all
dimyonis.
do that.
There's
to
two
promise
Rosh Yeshivas.
We all do that.
There's two yeshivas. One's the yeshiva of Rabbeinu. Everyone has a beard and payas. And then there's the yeshiva of Amalek, of Esav. And everyone's sitting in there, and they also have beards and payas. They look the same. The only difference is that if you look in this one's eyes, in the yeshiva of Esav, you see everyone's like with fire, like I'm everything. And you look at the other yeshiva, you look in their eyes, they look at you like simple, like I'm mamish nothing, everything's so devoted because I'm like I don't deserve diddly. You know what I mean? Like I don't deserve anything. Like this is so gavaldik just to talk to another Jew. If I can make you smile, wow, like this is my tachlis of creation. I met people like that. They're like that. They live life like besimcha because they feel like that.
Rabbi Yonatan, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How does the Torah of Azamra help somebody? Let's say somebody that's extremely, for example, he has a hot temper. The person has a constant hot temper. Can he study the Torah of Azamra and get out of that routine of being angry? Or with the Torah of Azamra, be mechazik him not to be depressed about being hot-tempered and fall into more hot-temperedness and more anger, meaning not to lose what you already have in being hot-tempered. You understand what I'm saying? There's two ways that it can help. It can help him either really escape his Yetzer Hara of being hot-tempered, right? Escape it completely, and now he's calm and he's able to relax and he doesn't get angry again and he's okay. Or is it that no, maybe not necessarily it's going to help him achieve that, but it will help him achieve not to mix in depression
after he gets hot-tempered,
which would cause them to become even worse of a person. Meaning, is it causing him not to become more of a negative person, or could it help him also?
No, it has
Hold him
not
back,
to
hold him
become,
back.
not to become.
Hold him back, bro.
No, there's a musag, there's a way to call it. It's called klipat azamra. That's I talked about it with somebody. Like the Torah in Torah Lamed Aleph. I don't want to give the show, but in Torah Lamed Aleph, if you learn one day, you can check in Torah Lamed. There's a lot of foundations. One of the foundations is the Torah of the tzaddik. It has zacha nesetzam chaim, lo zacha nesetzam amavet. So even in the Torah of Rabbeinu, there's people that they get close to Rabbeinu, and the close they come to Rabbeinu, the far away they get from anything, because they're not. So a person like what you're saying, what I'm trying to say, the klipa of Azamra is like, I have the midah of anger, but it's okay. So I don't have to work on myself. I have good nekudos. I look at the good things. I'll never work up to be better. I think I'm not showing if that's what you're talking about. I have good nekudos. I'm angry, but you know what? So there's angrier people than me, or there's this, or there's this, or I have good things, whatever. And I'll keep going with my anger. I'm still a good guy, so maybe I can even be more angry because I find good thoughts.
Right,
So even with the Taurus, I'm not saying if that's what you're saying, but
but I have this good.
Right,
this
then so this
this I'll put on the
So
side.
I don't need to work up. I don't need to be like even
Yeah,
better.
it's a good point.
I hear that answer, but I'll be honest with you, I don't.
No,
I
you
don't
have to
like
be
it. I'll
careful.
tell you why. Because
No, I'm just saying putting what you're
Rav
saying.
Nassan's words, I know, but Rav Nassan also says that once you emphasize on that which you have, which is positive, right, and you do look at the good things about yourself and what you have achieved in Ruchniut, then it can bring you out of even those shortcomings that you have as of now.
What do you mean? It could bring you out of them, yeah.
It could bring you out of them. It will bring you completely like Kav Zechut. Right? It will bring you Kav Zechut. And to my
If
understanding,
you do it the right way, if you process it the right way. You know what? If you don't mind, we have to sort of like, we're sort of like jumping the gun a little bit. It's hard to say when it comes to an individual personally, because that means to analyze that person's psyche. So if we're dealing with a theoretical case, we have to see how the guy would fall into dimyonis, because how he could misuse this Torah has to do with dimyonis, using it in a negative way and through his imagination. So it's hard to say. The general statement, right? The klalistic statement of Reb Nassan was that it's metaher tameim and it's metame tahorim. So meaning if that person is coming from a point of ego, if he's full of ego, then this Torah, finding his nekudas tovas and judging himself favorably, could damage him. It could build the ego and make him more angry. But if he's coming from a broken place and admitting that, like, I'm mamish, like I'm like nothing, I need to work on myself, then it can help tremendously. For example, that the guy usually gets depressed after he becomes angry, right? Why? Because the Yetzer Hara, his Amalek Rosh Yeshiva comes inside of his head and says, like, you, look at you, I can't believe, like, your mamish worth nothing, you get angry, and what it says in the Sfarim about anger, you give your neshama away, everyone agrees, you give your, so like, you're Bechlal, you're like holding in Gehenna mamish, they're ready to cook you, fry you like 4 times over, there's no hope, Bechlal, forget it, you might as well just, etc., right? So he could stop and be like, whoa, I remember from Rebbe Nachman, that like I'm nothing, and really I don't deserve anything, and like it could be that like I have issues, fine, but I'm ready to face that. I'm ready to like be there. That was like last week we were talking about that, to face that, and to find the positive. Like, okay, but at least I want to work on myself. I'm conscious of it. I'm going to try to take steps. You know what I mean? And the truth is, I'm not such a rotten guy because I do this in my life and I do that in my life, and that can help him to come close to Hashem, to even want to pray Bichlal. That's why the Torah is expressed as a Azamra, which has to do with tefillah. But let's get into it already. This is already,
Can I just say one idea, Rabbi?
Yeah.
You said it seems like it's saying that Azamra is there to be mechazik you, not to fall to atzvut, but to the proper maybe leib nishma.
100%. Oh, right.
When a person's coming in that status of feeling tameh, don't fall into atzvut, fall into leib nishma, be mechazik.
Right, 100%.
That's what it's doing. Meaning, when you hold yourself to be tameh, which side are you going to fall in, sitra achra or kedusha?
Right. As opposed to coming to this Torah with ego, that it could just fall all to the other side, God forbid.
Right, or not even ego. When you're climbing, you're going further. Right,
that's
there's two
different.
drives
That's
that you're
different.
supposed to have.
No,
to focus on what you can achieve even more. You haven't achieved so much. Right. It's the drive of Ratzah.
Right. Very good.
Right, Ratzah, just continue going. No, whatever you think you've achieved, true, it's there, but there's so much more on that ladder that you can achieve,
Right.
right? But this is the bechina of Vishuv.
Yeah,
Come back.
finding the points.
Finding the points.
I hear. That's one way of looking at it. I hear. Okay. Okay, you ready? You guys ready? Here we go. So Reb Nachman starts off this. So he brings the words of Rabbeinu, but I want to embed it within Reb Nachman. That's why I'm focusing lately more on the Likutei Halachas, because also Ziknei Anash and Breslov, they say that we should be more, the focus should more be on Rabbeinu through Reb Nachman in our times. You know, it's for whatever reason, it's like the Reb Nachman just really. By the way, I just want to mention that his Yortzeit's coming up this Sunday night.
Saturday night.
Saturday night?
Sunday.
Yeah, Saturday night. Yeah, you're right. So Sunday night's my son's birthday. Okay, so
It's always on Hanukkah, though, no?
when?
I always thought
Reb
it was
Nachman?
on
No.
Hanukkah.
10th of Tibet.
Well, last year it came out, it was on Hanukkah.
Oh, sorry, but
His
No,
English
it's a
year was
Sarbatim.
on-
Oh, it's the Hebrew, right? It's the Hebrew, right?
so Reb Nachman. So something that they say, just a little bit of a like esoteric description. They say about Moshe was compared to the sun, Yeshua was the moon. Rabbeinu called Reb Nachman. He used to sometimes call him. He's like, "Where's my Yeshua?" Right? They say it's easier to look at the moon than the sun. The sun is sometimes blaring. You know, it's like, well, you know, it's hard to make out. But the moon, you could look at. Reb Nachman was like giving over the light of Rabbeinu in a way that we could really like. It's an unbelievable schus that we have Reb Nachman. So I wanted to embed this teaching around where Reb Nachman is how he brings this Torah out. So he starts off in Likutei Halachas, Halacha Aleph. It says Yiskaber Ka'ari Lamad Baboker Lavodas Boro. It says in Orach Chaim, right, the first halacha, that a person should be strong like a lion, to get up like a lion, to serve his Creator, Sheyehu Me'orer HaShachar, because he is awakening the dawn. He's awakening the morning. Very interesting line. The first halacha in Shulchan Aruch is like a shtick chasidus, you know. He's like awakening the dawn. What does that mean? All right. So we're going to see. Haggah, the Ramah says, all of a sudden Ramah also starts chasidus. Shavisi Hashem l'negdi tamid. I placed Hashem before me always. Zeh klal gadol b'Torah. Very interesting. It's like Shulchan Aruch starting with total, like, you know, like revelations, like, you know, Ma'or Shachar, Shavisi Hashem. It's like, wow, you know, what do you tell me to do? You know, like, it's interesting. But it's a klal gadol, and we're going to see how it's related. Ki ita b'divrei Rabbeinu zal. It's brought down in Rabbeinu in Siman Reish Pei Beis. When a person starts to search himself, and then he sees that he's very far from Hashem, he's like, oy vey taka, where am I holding? Look where I'm holding. Hashem Yirachim, he sees, we're painting the scene, he's seeing himself, he's full of sins, oh my gosh, I'm full of sins, it seems to him, he's very far from good, from the tachlis of good. So what does he have to do? What is he going to do? What's the way out? The Rebbe says, Azai hu tzarich lechapes ulevakesh velimtso ba'atzmo. He has to mamish, search and find within himself ezetov, a shtick good. Ki eich efshar shelo asa ezetov miyamav. How can it be that I've never done good in my life? I must have done something. Even though when he starts to analyze, right, the Baal Davar, the Yetzer Hara makes me, oh, you think you did this, it was with the best motives, you didn't do this really l'shem shamayim, you did this with this, you know. Ki ma'orav b'besolet harbe, it has a lot of psolet in it, it's not glat kosher, it's got other things mixed in. Afal pichein, nevertheless, efshar she'ein bo ezen nekuda tova al kol panim, it can't be that it doesn't have any good within it. Right, there must be a one point of goodness. So if you then you get that, you put it in the bank, and you give yourself strength from that, and you keep on going weiter. You find another point of good that you did in your life. Even though that good that you find, the next shtick goodness that you find is also has you could knock it down with svaras and stuff like that. Even that has another point of goodness. It must have one nakuda there. From going in this path, from what? From the fact that you are basically, what you're doing is you're judging yourself favorably, you're finding the good within yourself. Umotze be'atzmo nekudas tovas. You're going through this procedure of finding positive nekudas about yourself, celebrating the good about you, a dayan that you still have. Afal pi shasa ma shasa. Even though you did what you did, you mamish messed up. You were like, you mamish, you shouldn't have done that. Upagam masha pagam, and you did what you did. You're not denying it. Then the fact that you found the good within yourself, you gave yourself some chiyus. Al yideze hu yotze be'emes mikaf chova. You come in truth from the side of guilt. V'nichnas bekaf schus be'emes. You could come to the side of virtue in the higher worlds, right? In truth, completely, to the side of schus. V'al yideze yochol izkos l'tshuva. Through this, you can be zocha to do tshuva. From you sitting there and you finding the good within yourself, celebrating that, thanking Hashem for it, you can mamish come to tshuva, very high levels of tshuva. Zeh bechinas, and this is what it says in Tehillim. There's a pasuk, ve'od me'at ve'ein rasha. That little further, but ma'at means the little more that I find. Ve'ein rasha, there is no wicked. What does that mean? Al yedei oto ha'od ma'at, from that shtick goodness, from that little goodness that you found. Shesham eino rasha, that in that area you're talking not a rasha, you're not a messed up guy, that this is a good thing about you. Al yedei ze vehitzbonanta al mekomo ve'inenu. The pasuk says that you will ponder about his place and he is no longer there. Right? That from finding that good within the rasha, in this case yourself, that you hold yourself to be the cheskas rasha, you're willing to admit that. By you finding the good, that od ma'at, and you're misbonin about that, and he's no longer there because you could come out of that gear through this positivity. And through this you could make yourself besimcha. You could live a life of joy. Look at the rewards, and then you could start to daven. You could face Hashem. Azamra lelokai be'odi. This is the bechina, what it says in the pasuk, which is the name, the what the Hasidim call this Torah. Azamra lelokai be'odi. That I will sing to Hashem be'odi, with that little good. Al yidei ha'od ma'at. That little good shemotzi ba'atzma that I find within myself. Al yidei ze yochol lezamer u'lehodot l'Hashem. I can start singing it to thank Hashem. Al yidei ze nasim nigunim. The Rebbe says over there, through this is how you make music. This is the Breslov music that we need to play in the world. It's from everyone in their own lives, wherever they are, like fighting through that darkness of how they perceive themselves, and finding something that they appreciate about themselves, and they're happy, and they thank Hashem for it, and that plays a certain jazz. That's like Mashiach's jazz. We're going to hear that jazz really loud when Mashiach comes, and the whole world is going to be in a state of joy, right? And it's going to take off that bad spirit. What does it have to do with music? A musician has to take a certain sound, or wind, an energy, wave, whatever you want to call it, and he has to filter out which one sounds right and which one sounds off. That search of finding what sounds right is fighting through that darkness of bad notes and finding good notes. It's a whole ocean of bad notes, and he finds the good notes. That's that same expertise. V'zeu azamra daika. That's what the Torah means. That's what the pasuk means in Tehillim. Azamra, that I will sing, because it will bring to an aspect of music. Like that brings a certain aspect of music. Bechinat nigunim. Okay. So now Rebbe Nachman also plugs it into others. It says.
Also, I think I just thought about it. I know we took a lot of time, but it says Azamra lelokai bodi. So the sukkah why lelokai and why be'izcha Azamra. So another thing about Sukkah Zimor Azamra is just the singing. It's just, when you have how do you call it, mazmara, the one that chops the leaves and chops all the woods and everything. In Hebrew it's called mazmira. To chip off. And they say in the Kabbalah, it says one of the reasons of Sukkah Zimra is because you're chopping off all the sitracha, all the masachim, all the everything between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it says Azamra lelokai bodi, which means there's a block between me. There's something blocking between me and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So how do I take off this block? Because when a person, he's b'ma'ar shchora, he's all in that. So it says, I will chop down these barriers between me and Hashem, lelokai, I will get close to Hashem and chop off these things, ba'odi, with a little bit, like Kodesh Baruch Hu wants us to get close. And we're like now very far now. And the way to chop these things off and to get close to Hashem, lelokai, is ba'odi, by these little
You
things.
should write these. Taka. Chen tzurichim. Yeah, you ready? Very good. No, damn it.
No, it's right there.
To remember it. V'chein tzurichim ladun et achirim l'kaf zchut. And he says now. He says also with other people. By the way, I wanted to just say it's interesting if you do the Torah and Reish Bet, which I really recommend everyone that before we, that maybe next week before we get together, believe other that if we have a look at Tumran, if we get our hands on one, to look up Reish Bet in our own time. We have a week, just if we can, just to if God willing, to try to skim through, just to look at it, If you notice over there, you'll see that the Rebbe starts with others first. He doesn't start with you. Right. So I was once in a shiur with Reb David Sears, and he said, it's interesting, but Reb Nachman started with you first. Right? Not to just, this is a very small point. So then, whatever the question was raised, like, why do you think, why that shift? And no one was saying anything, but then I was thinking the whole...
That's based on Shulchan Aruch.
Okay.
Talking about you, not talking about someone else.
That's interesting. Okay.
I thought it was obvious. I noticed right away when you were reading.
Right here.
It's Shvisi Hashem or something. It's Gaber Kari.
Okay.
Why should I get up in the morning? I'm in the way. I'm in nothing.
So you could explain...
That's Nash's spying in Shulchan Aruch.
I hear. Very good. Wow. That's one level. That's like that's shot.
That's one
level. That's good.
You just got it just now. Or you always knew this shot.
What?
I love these special shots. These ones are like I hold high on these special.
People forget that.
It's a matana when somebody just gets a matana like this because you never like bing, you just upload it.
So one other shot was that we said that.
Azamra.
No, I knew this to get Zima, but boom, to touch it like that in the past, you just had it now. Never had it so long.
One other shot was, but they're remez. It's more remez. It's more like not so like just flat out. That it's their perspective. So Reb Nachman is coming as the bechina of the Talmud, as the bechina of the reflection, of the aspect of the moon, right? Which is an aspect of the Shechina, which is an aspect of Am Yisrael, which
Malchut.
Is Malchut. And the Rebbe is coming from the perspective of like the sun Kiviyachol from Shemayim. Right. When it comes to other people, Reb Nachman's like let's work from down up. You know what I mean? Let's work right here. I got to fix this, and then I can start. But it's all linked together.